All right. It's Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More, Worldwide TV Network, Women on TV.tv, iTube 247 out of Franklin, Tennessee, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple TV, Google, everything. This is the last show of the year. I'm very, very happy to end with this young lady. So let's start with this. All off the top of my head, there's never any notes, just like Larry King would do CNN in the old days. When I'm a Straller, author, blogger, actress, podcaster, Best Actress Oscar nominee for the movie Anna, Golden Globe winner, LA Film Critics Award winner, Independent Spirit Award winner, the one and only Sally Kirkland. And if I left out someone, we're going to get to it. But Sally, you look very spiritual, very beautiful. You look really pretty today.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Hey, Michael, let's start off with this. Let's start off when we first interviewed her. What's your first memory of interviewing Sally?
Well, it's interesting because Sally and I have become very close friends over the years. And she probably doesn't know it, but I just looked back at my covering of the Oscars. And, you know, you and I know each other from covering the Oscars for years. But I actually talked to her on the red carpet the year she was nominated for Anna, when I was working for Entertainment Weekly. And she was coming through, but of course Cher was coming through with her crazy, crazy outfit that year. And she was almost eclipsed, you know, in a lot of ways. But I got to tell you, Sally, I was on the red carpet for many of the years during the Oscars. And I was there a couple of times when I saw how she handled her friend, Joan Rivers, who would always trash her terribly. And also Mr. Blackwell. So I even remember the days of Mr. Blackwell, because Sally often got criticized as having the worst dressed, which is, she was just, you know, she was very creative and colorful, but she always made the worst dress list. And she was in good company. I mean, Angelina Jolie and Cameron Diaz and Audrey Hepburn even were on worst dress lists in the past, but Sally was all. Why do you think that was, Sally?
I don't know. I thought I looked great, but I think they knew that I would be a good what's the word? Comedy partner.
Sidekick.
Not great man, but the other one.
Sidekick.
The sidekick. I'd be a good sidekick to their show. And Joan Rivers actually sent her daughter with me to Saks Fifth Avenue, whatever, to get, what do you call it? A reform, a makeover. And so Joan Rivers had me on her show and quote, the worst dress. And then I came back having shopped with her daughter. Sensational. Then she gave me best dress. But she was so supportive in my getting the Oscar. She just kept putting me on and on and on. And actually, Mr. Blackwell really gave me good marks in the latter years. So
well, it's funny because a lot of people thought you and Joan were rivals, but actually I know you were close friends too. Yeah. And the other weird thing is that Sally was really good friends with Cher. They used to roller skate together, and the year that they were nominated, you know, it was just kind of cool.
No, I have to correct you. Cher and I roller skated back like in 1977 at something called the Reseda roller skate rink. And Helena Kaliniotis, famous for Helena's, would host these things, and Jack Nicholson would come, and Cher and everybody. And we would hold hands and roller skate, maybe because she was keeping me up because I wasn't very good. But the actual Oscars that she beat me was 10 years later, you know.
But I'm saying that, you know, you guys knew each other, you know, for.
Oh, yeah. In fact, they keep asking me, they keep interviewing me on these biographies of Cher. I just did one on Reels TV a while back. By the way, on Reels TV, coming in February, maybe March, they interviewed me at length for over an hour on Dennis Hopper. So look for that.
You know,
so Brian, when was your first time with her?
What's that?
When was Brian's first time with Sally?
Mine with her was Ed TV. And the thing about what Sally was, she was always very nice. And I don't know if people, she always took the time I think maybe she knew in the back of her mind that there's other people coming up, a lot of people who may not have interviewed her at that point, but she was always very nice. And I remember her just being eclectic. I feel that I'm that way. Artists are very unique. It's just like what she's wearing. It's very bright. It's a very spiritual. You know, I've been practicing Buddhism for what, 32 years now. She can be called a reverend if she wants to. So, but it's also when it comes to her meditation, this was always in her. But as we get later up in our years, we're experienced seniors. That's the correct terminology to put because we have so much experience. She has a lot of experience. You know, Joan Rivers, you know, I would call her if I had a celebrity mom, I told Joan this, she would have been my celebrity mom because I love the way she and Melissa would always be together. And Cher was always very, very nice to me when we always hung out. My best friend lived 2 doors down from her from Zuma Beach. And I would just see her walking. And these are the days where you just don't bother them. Just let them do their thing. And if they want to come talk to you, you talk to them. So I always felt that was the best way to respect everybody.
Right on. You're not old enough to be a senior.
I am.
He's older than he looks.
You're 60, really?
Yeah.
You looked about, to me, when I first saw you, you looked about 38.
Well, I think we all look pretty good for our age. I gotta
Yes,
say
right
that.
on, Mike. You look great. I don't know your age, but you look
I
great.
just turned 60 too, as well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
See, Sally, there's so very few of us. That's why it's special to always say what's going on. You know, there's a friend of yours, a French fashion designer who just passed away. My goal is to always people there. You know, honor the people that are here because I tell people, and I say this meaningful, you're here today, you may not be there tomorrow, but it's about leaving that lasting legacy because I always want friends, people that are coming up now to know who people like yourself, what you were doing. We can't do these junkets anymore. They don't exist. We don't know when red carpets are coming down the pipeline. So like when I was chiming in to your meditations the last 2 days, I thought it was really great. You got a great fan base chiming in from around the world, and I think that's great. And Mike told me about it. So I think it's great. Talk about that.
Well, 9 months ago, I started doing these live streams from my Facebook page, and I am an ordained minister, and I call it Reverend Sally Kirkland Cher Spirit. And I wanted to get something where people could interact with me, but I wanted to focus on spiritual men and women who would leave us with great words. So I quoted from my teacher of 50 years, John Roger, who's written 37 books on spirit and done about 5,000 seminars. He's in heaven now. And a man named John Morton, who's the spiritual director now of the Movement of Spiritual Unawareness, of which I'm a minister. And then I would pick people like St. Francis, St. Joan, Thomas Jefferson, Buddha, you know, whoever. And I would quote from everybody who was spiritual. And then everybody online with me would begin to send me their favorite spiritual quotes, and I would get to read them. And Mike has been a member of, I'll call it the prayer group, for some months now. And it gives me so much joy. It's totally selfish on my part to do it because I feel all this love coming in. And like you said, internationally, we have people in London, in Portugal, in Germany, in South America. It's really great to feel that all these people are intrigued with whatever goes on in Miss Kirkland's head.
And they're not just fans. I mean, there's people, I mean, they are fans, but there's people who are frontline workers in COVID. I mean, that are involved. There's celebrities as well. And it's pretty amazing group of people all over the world.
Thanks, Mike. We have a doctor, Troy Cashett, who's in ER in Los Angeles dealing with all the COVID-19 patients. And he just goes 24/7. And luckily he just got his vaccine. And then we have Dr. Paulo Pereira from Portugal, and he's in a hospital there helping them. And then we had yesterday, a man, I can't remember his name, but he just got his vaccine. He works in a children's hospital. Thanks for mentioning it, because your fans can come to Sally Kirkland Facebook and just join it, right, Mike? Is it that simple?
It is that simple. Yeah. Just click on the link at the top of your page at 4 o'clock Pacific time, 7 o'clock Eastern time, and wherever else. around
However,
the world.
tomorrow I've been honored to be asked by Rufus Wainwright, the singer,
Oh, wow.
to spend New Year's Day with him. So I won't be doing it tomorrow at 4 o'clock. It will be at, give me a second, 2 o'clock.
Okay.
And I'll go back to 4 o'clock on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, etc.
So Sally, I have
Well,
a couple questions from my friends from Canada. Is it true?
Oh.
I know it, but is it true that you were the first nude model to protest the war?
I was the first actress to appear fully nude on stage in American theater in 1968. And when the New York Times called me up and they said, "What are you doing? You know, you're a Shakespearean actress. Why are you taking off all your clothes?" And I said, "I'm opposed to the Vietnam War, and you can't carry a gun on a naked body."
Wait in line.
You're here.
Still holds up to this day, doesn't it? What was it like?
That's for your friend.
When the pandemic came down, what was that like for you? How did you handle that personally? Because everybody's got a different story.
Well, I upped my prayers for it. And every day on the live stream, we all, as a group, send our light and love to everyone affected by COVID and to the, what is it? It's 300 now or something, 100 souls, 1,000 souls who've passed over in America, maybe more at this point. And I live alone, so it's fairly easy for me to be 6 feet away from people. My assistant Cody and his fiance, they come over, but very few people come here. And when they do, they're very good. They wear their mask. I wear my mask whenever I go anywhere. And everything I need in my life is right within 3 blocks of where I am. So to get food, I just go 3 blocks. My hair isn't done yet. It's going to be done today at
You still look
12:30.
beautiful, Sally. You do. You really do.
So Jimmy, to do my hair, he's a block away. My coffee shop is a block away. Gelson's is 2 blocks away. You get the picture. So I make these little trips, but they're very small trips. And I feel I've been very conscientious. I have lost many friends to COVID, and now my housekeeper tested positive.
Wow.
I'm doing my own housework for the first time in years and years.
And Sally, why don't you talk about, it's interesting. You're one of the few people I've heard in Hollywood who is still working during COVID. You actually shot a movie out on the other side of the country, right? During COVID, and talk about that.
Well, no, actually, to be really specific, I was in Italy shooting a movie called Final Code. And that's when the Italian doctors announced on Italian television that this coronavirus existed and that people were dying. And I'm watching the Italian television. I'm thinking, oh my God. Luckily, I had brought antibiotics with me. And so I got on the antibiotics. I took 1,000 milligrams of C every hour. I got through the shoot. And I got on the last plane leaving, it's a famous city, Naples? No, Naples. It was the city where everything started in Italy. So I got on the last plane and got to LA, where I was told I had to quarantine for 2 weeks. And that was back in February. Now tell me your question again.
Well, didn't you shoot a couple of smaller movies?
Yeah. I did a short film. I was the lead called Lilith. That's in editing now. I did that in July in Virginia. And I did a feature film called Bobcat Moretti. We shot in Burbank. And I did another short film called The Woman in the Room, based on Stephen King's short story, The Woman in the Room, and I played the woman. And I was getting ready to shoot another film January 8th, but Screen Actors Guild stopped us and said that now you have to get your COVID shot within 24 hours of shooting. And the filmmaker wants to wait until they're making these kits available to people at home so that all 15 of us can get our kit at the same time and return it at the same time. So hopefully that will happen by February.
You've been
That'll be 4 films.
you've been on these sets. It's amazing that you've actually worked progressively through all this. Did you feel that the precautions were safe during this time?
Yeah, they were very good.
And I know
Everyone
you've been tested a
that's
lot,
right.
right? You've been tested like 4 or 5 times already.
7 times. Yeah.
Talk about what
And
was that like before you left for Italy. Because, and the reason I asked this, because I was at the CES show, Consumer Electronics Show, which is always the first weekend of January. I was talking to a lot of the startups. I was one of the few Americans on the last day, which was January 8th in Vegas. And they were all Italian startups. And I was the only Black American there. There was only 2 Americans there. Everybody had left. And I still have the video, and it's very strange because, as you were saying, I was thinking of these startup companies, all from Italy. They were all just having fun. The last day of CES, literally weeks later, they were being locked down, and my heart went out to them. And I was doing my best to email any of them because they had some great products that I wanted to showcase. And I still to this day have a hard time reaching them, and I never forgot that. What was that feeling like for you right before you were leaving and you knew?
yeah, and also people didn't feel safe on the planes at that time. But I've been chanting and praying since 1969. And so I just went into hard drive there on the airplane, chanting and chanting for the 13 hours or whatever it was getting back here, and only to see the news in America that they had found people positive. And I guess I was lucky, wasn't I? Because I would have been stuck in Italy. Not that it's bad to be stuck in Italy, but I was in the northern Italy.
Yeah.
Why can't I think of the name of the city in northern Italy?
In northern Italy,
is it
hard?
What?
Florence?
Again?
Florence. Was it?
No. Famous city. Oh, well, my memory escapes me. But what was it like? It was I on Facebook on the plane. I'm emailing, I'm sending emails to everybody and messages and I'm right on my Facebook page. I'm saying, pray for me to get home, please. And when I reached London, I was back on the computer in the what do you call it, commissary, whatnot, praying, please pray that I get home safely. And of course, at that point, everybody knew about this COVID-19.
Wow.
So I was very lucky, very, very lucky. I'm very
you have a lot of good fortune around you.
Yeah, I do. Thank you for noticing, Brian.
Hey.
One of the reasons why I wanted to bring Sally up during this time too is her beautiful film Hope for the Holidays that you can get on Amazon Prime for $4.99 and rent, or you can buy for $10.99 and keep it forever. And it's a beautiful, beautiful film. And Sally, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Hope for the Holidays, we actually shot 2 years ago in Sacramento. Young filmmaker named Ricky Borba. And ironically, his mother was dying of cancer. And then she died right before we shot the film. And I was hired to play his mother, Georgia. And I am dying in the course of the film. And my son, Danny, who was played by George Stultz, who I always remember from Seventh Heaven when he was with his twin brother, he wanted to get me medical supplies and work, and he didn't have any money, so he robbed a bank and ends up in jail, and the judge gives him 5 years, and both he and I go into this major anxiety attack that that we won't see each other, knowing that I was in 4th stage cancer. And his friends in prison, a guy named Robert, help me, Mike, Robert
Lasardo.
Robert Lasardo
Really
plays Mouse, who is very much into spirit and into God. And he keeps trying to help Danny, my son, learn how to pray and have faith and hope. And my son just won't have anything to do with it. But me, on the other side, I'm sitting there, convinced that I'm going to see him. And I have this Christmas tree, and the Christmas tree, I think, is talking to me. And I'm talking back to the Christmas tree saying, please bring me Danny. Anyway, he does make it to me. And there are these touching scenes with mother and son, knowing that it was my last day or hours, and tears streaming down my face. And I die, and everybody circled around the bed. And it's a very beautiful shot. I used to be a cancer caretaker and AIDS caretaker in the 80s, with about 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 10 patients. And I've never had cancer and I've never had AIDS, but I know what it is to have it, having been through caretaking. And that was part of my ministry at that time. And yeah, my ministry isn't wear a collar and preach in a building. My ministry is to go out into the world and help wherever it's needed. And so that brought me to learn a training with a hospice training where you know how to be with people dying, and many other things. I mean, my first wedding, Ringo Starr was the best man for his road manager and his fiance. And I said to them all, now watch for the purple color, because purple is the most spiritual color. And as I was saying, I now pronounce you husband and wife. And they kissed, and 2 purple butterflies flew in and circled and flew off together. And I remember Ringo Starr's mouth. It was so great.
Wow.
And I've done baby blessings and funerals and you name it, and seminars all over the world. And it's been glorious to be a minister since 1976.
Well, Sally, one of the things I'm going to always do is make sure I include you in my prayers for health, because I'm really specific. I tell people when I'm chanting for them my way, I give them 10 good minutes. And I said, it's hard to give 90 seconds, but if I'm just focusing on you, I'm focusing on the areas of your body, what I think means your aura, everything like that. And when you describe that, that means it's more specific, because I'm actually chanting for that sound vibration for that, to make sure that you are here today. Because I always want to leave my friends better than when I last left them. And you're right. You don't have to experience going through that. I call her my Southern mom, Edie Hand, Elvis Presley's cousin. She's a 5-time cancer survivor. So she wasn't supposed to last this long. So I know our prayers have helped. And so that's why I was glad to see what you were doing the last 48 hours, because you were saying that you felt that your words weren't matching the video. You couldn't tell, but no, the video was fine. And I was like, saying, don't stop, don't start over, just go with it. You're a professional, just keep going. And you did. And it was because this time of Zoom, everybody's Zooming. The internet was never set up for this many people to ever be on. And so, you know, good job, it was good. So as that professional actress that you are, and everything else that is included in your bio, what you are, you just go with it. And I do the same thing, Sally. We've done, as today, you're my final show for the year, 243 Zoom interviews since April 2nd. You know, as that actress, that's like 8, 9 years or 20.
40, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and Mike,
can I put out some titles? I'm sorry. Can I put out some titles of movies that I would love people to see? Okay. A film I did last year is called Cuck, C-U-C-K. Critics compared it to Joker. 3 critics said it was more authentic than Joker. And I play the mother of the kid who's so deranged, but I have so much more to do than the mother in Joker. I get to tear down the scenery, and it's a brilliant film, Cuck. It's on Amazon Prime, should be. Maybe it's Amazon Prime rental. And then I'd like people to know about a film called Broken Roads that I did some years back. That's very emotional, and you'll find yourself crying a lot. And I play a grandmother of a young man whose mother has just died in a car crash, and he's angry and hurt, and the social workers send him to live with me, and he doesn't want to. And we have a whole hate-love relationship that finally resolves. but I think his name was Aiden Bristow, the young man, the actor. And boy, did he give me a run for my money with my acting. And then I'd like people to know that I was in Revenge with Kevin Costner and Anthony Quinn.
Excellent movie.
Oh, thank you. And I was in Cold Feet with Tom Waits and Keith Carradine and Rip Torn, and a cameo with Jeff Bridges. It's a funny comedy. And then I was in, of course, Best of the Best is a cult film with Eric Roberts and James Earl Jones. And then The Haunted, I won a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actress on Television Movies. The Haunted, A True Story, is on YouTube. And there's a film I produced that I star in with Ali Sheedy and John Savage called Amnesia, that's on Amazon Prime. And Ed TV that Ron Howard directed. I play Matthew McConaughey's mother. That's a comedy. And I open up JFK.
Exactly.
You see a woman being thrown out of the car and screaming, "You fucking asshole." And then I'm wheeled into the hospital and I'm on heroin withdrawal and I'm screaming and the tears are streaming down my face. They're going to kill the president. Anyway, that was me. And yeah, that's it for now. That's all I can think of.
Well, and I will add that she played Robert Redford's girlfriend in The Sting and Barbara Streisand's friend in The Way We Were.
Her girlfriend, yeah. Yeah, if you read the book, The Way We Were, Pony Dunbar was my name. There was a big scene with Barbara and I that got cut, unfortunately, but they left in 2 scenes. And she and Robert Redford started off my career from New York to Hollywood. Yes.
So what's interesting is that Sally is known these days as kind of an indie, person, because she's in all these quirky, interesting movies, kind of like the Next Generation's Parker Posey or whatever. But she's got such a foundation in really great mainstream movies as well. I mean, when you look back at her career, so.
Yeah, I was in Bruce Almighty with Jim Carrey. I played the waitress in the cafeteria. He would come every day. And in the 70s, I did all these studio films, cameos, Cinderella Liberty, Blazing Saddles, A Star is Born. And we mentioned The Sting, The Way We Were. And so I was everyone's favorite cameo actress in studio films. And then I did television all through the 70s, Starsky and Hutch, Charlie's Angels, Beretta.
Roseanne.
What's that? What'd you say, Mike?
Roseanne, right?
Roseanne.
Roseanne.
Oh, Roseanne was in the 90s. I played Barbara Healy, the mother of Johnny Galecki. And there was this one show where I smack him in the face and people were horrified. They couldn't believe what a bitch I was. And I say, look, I pleaded with Roseanne, please don't make me hit him so hard in the face. And she said, that's the way I remember it. So,
Sally, what's it like to be that actress who's got this great filmology in demand?
What's that, Brian?
What's to be that actress who's in always great demand?
Oh, it's great. I'm 79 years old, and I can say that I've been working nonstop since 1960.
And that's what's amazing is that I keep discovering, as much as I've known Sally, I keep discovering new movies. I found this amazing film called Starry Night, where she helps Vincent van Gogh, who comes back from the past and is like amazed that his paintings are finally selling, and all these weird, interesting, quirky movies that she's been in, and she does such a genre.
What's that, Brian?
I said that was a great movie. See, so Sally, I came from the home video era.
All right.
I had to order all of those videos on VHS back in the late 80s.
Right.
And so even till this day, we don't have video stores.
Right. Yeah.
So when it comes to that,
no.
I still tell people about, you've got to see these things. The bad thing that Mike knows about this is they're hard to find. That's the issue that I have. And I have a major that doesn't mean it's a bad movie or anything. It's just there aren't any video stores.
Brian, did you see my movie Anna that I got the Best Actress Oscar nomination?
Sally, I'm a movie whore.
Well, you can't find that. You can't find it. I mean, you can buy it, You can buy it on Amazon for, if you're lucky, you get a used copy for $4. Otherwise, you have to spend at least $20 to buy it. And I'm so pissed off that it's not streaming anywhere, because everyone should see Anna, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I do think that Amazon Prime has been very kind to me. If you put Sally Kirkland in Amazon Prime, many films. Some of them are great. Some of them I just paid the rent with, but they're all there. And yeah, I'm a lucky girl.
Well, let me ask you this.
I
What do you think
produced Starry Night.
Sally, what do you think of the new platforms?
What's that?
What do you think of all the new platforms now of having Hulu, Disney Plus, Google, iTunes, all of that? What do you think of all those platforms?
I think it's good because everybody has at least one of them. I had it on the tip of my tongue. You were talking about the new. Oh yeah, I was in the very first Netflix produced film. It's called the Most Hated Woman in America.
Oh yeah.
And it was about the woman who's an atheist who took prayers out of the school. And Melissa Leo played her, and I played her mother, and Peter Fonda was in it. And we had a blast. So I was in the very first Netflix produced movie. So from that point of view, I think it's exciting and it's great. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to go with the flow, Brian.
When you think of a name, Andy Warhol, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, in 1964 or 1965, one of those 2 years, he asked me to be in 13 Most Beautiful Women. And I think Edie Sedgwick was another one. And not Viva, she came later. Maybe Baby Jane Holzer. Anyway, he said, and his right-hand partner, Gerard Malanga, who was behind the camera, Andy said, sit there for 5 minutes and don't move. And I'm going to leave the room, and Gerard's going to leave the room. And when we come back, it'll be over. And I said, but Andy, I'm an above ground actor. I'm not an underground actor. I'm an above ground actor. I studied with Lee Strasberg for 30 years. No, back then it was a few years because it was 64, 65. So I studied with Lee Strasberg for 2 years, and I want to emote. I want to act. And he said, no, just stay still, look at the camera. So I did what's called an emotional recall, and the tears started coming. And I felt like I did what he asked, but I also did what I wanted. And if you look at the picture, I think somebody just posted it last night on my Facebook page, the picture of the screen test, 13 Most Beautiful Women. The lighting was such that my hair was sort of covering my eyes. So you don't see the tears, unfortunately, but you can tell I was really, really sad. And then Andy asked me for his birthday to do the first happening. And he asked me and Gerard Malanga to come out of the cake that was about, 6 feet tall. We would climb these stairs up and come out of a cake and do the twist. And I had nothing on except for an eeny weeny bikini, lots of baby oil, and fake jewelry that would fling from my arms when I danced. And Mick Jagger was going to sing I Can't Get No Satisfaction. But Mick Jagger at the last minute had a conflict. So we played his record, I Can't Get No Satisfaction. And the next day in the New York Times, Enid and Emmy said, the very first happening, Andy Warhol's birthday, Sally Kirkland and Gerard Malanga coming out of this cake. That's what I think of when I think of Andy, aside from the fact that he had a mad crush on my mother, who was the fashion editor of Life at the time. And my mother gave him his very first publicity, maybe that year, in the pages of Life, where he used to do storefronts in New York. And so he had his Campbell soup can in the background and all these shoes in the foreground that were being sold. And so he had a crush on her, and that's how I met him.
Her mom was a well-known journalist, and that's why Sally gets along with journalists so well.
And his name, Sally, was what?
What's that?
What was your mother's name?
Brian? Sally Kirkland.
Yes. Now, how unusual is that?
Yeah, she had a big ego, I guess. I was Sally Kirkland Jr. And I
That's a
knew that I
trivia
would have
question.
to be a famous. Yeah, that is. Um, I don't think women normally name their daughters, the same name. Jennifer Jones did, the actress. She named her daughter, who sadly killed herself, Jennifer Jones Jr. But I've had an extraordinary life, and it keeps going on and on. And I would like you both to pray for an assistant of mine of 2 years. He's worked for me for 2 years. And as of 9:45 this morning, nobody can find him.
Oh,
His
Yeah.
name is Michael James Daly, and he's just disappeared. He doesn't answer phone calls or messages. He was supposed to show up at work at 9:45 yesterday morning. Nada.
Wow.
Michael James Daly.
I'll make
So
sure
we say in my
I'll make
church,
it
we say,
first.
Brian, we say, Dear Father, Mother God, we ask just now for your light and your love and the light of the Christ and the Buddha to surround, protect, and fill the soul we know of as Michael James Daly, that he be safe and sound and healthy, and that he let us know where he is as soon as possible. So be it.
Amen.
Yeah.
For the people who've never heard of you, what would you say to them to inspire them that they actually go back? Because that's where me and Michael come in. Michael's been talking on our shows, whether it's on our Zoom or in studio, of your daily meditations at 4 p.m. West Coast time. That's how I first knew about it. So it's up to us to keep those words going and keep spreading that word out. So those people who haven't heard of you, who are younger, what message would you give them right now?
Right. Out of God comes all things. No soul is lost. It's all about soul transcendence. It's all about completing one's karma in this lifetime and going home to God, karma free. Never take no for an answer. Keep your dreams. If you're like me and you're an actor, make a short film of yourself, put your friends in it, produce it, get somebody to photograph you, to video you, enter it in film festivals. Don't wait for the industry. Just do it yourself. And that goes for writers, directors, producers. I believe in short films a lot. It's got me a lot of feature films. Love everyone as if you're loving yourself. Like Jesus said, love your neighbor. And go where the love is. If the love isn't there, split. Mike knows that one.
Exactly.
you both helped me through a lot this year. I appreciate that.
Well, the
Yeah.
thing is, we have to always keep
I
reaching out.
just would say, we have to always what?
Keep reaching out to people to make sure that they're okay.
Yeah, reaching out. I put on my Facebook page yesterday and today, I love you, Michael James Daly, and I asked everyone to send the light to him, including Mike. I have a feeling, an intuition that he's slipped, otherwise known as gone off the wagon.
Yeah.
After being sober for years.
Yeah.
And that's my gut feeling, is that he's in hell right now, his own hell, and that he doesn't want me or anybody to know it. And for all of you out there that have ever had any abuse problems, I did back in the 60s, and I was pronounced dead from a suicide attempt, a drug overdose, and luckily it wasn't my time. God wanted me to stick around. But my heart goes out to anybody and everybody who's ever had an abuse problem, be it alcohol or drugs. I really have empathy and compassion for people who haven't yet known that they are God and God is them. And when we look in the eyes of each other, we see the Christ and the Buddha looking back at us, because we're all one, And some of us, particularly when we're young, we don't know it yet. When I was 23, I did that. took 50 Nebutol and 50 codeine and sat on the 13-story ledge of a building waiting to be stoned enough to fall so I wouldn't feel it. And luckily for me, I had talked to Christ before I did that and said, if you exist, I need a miracle. And if you don't exist, I'm checking out with dignity. And it wasn't my time. And this man, the superintendent of the building, looked out the window and said, Miss Kirkland, what are you doing? And I snapped out of my psychotic illusion and didn't have the guts to jump in front of this sweet man with 5 children and a wife. And he pulled me back in the window. I went running down 13 flights of stairs out on the street, ran to the Guggenheim Museum, hid in the bushes, saw everybody running around looking for me, managed to get down Fifth Avenue on my way to a place I knew I could just expire behind the garbage cans. Didn't get there, passed out at 1040 Fifth Avenue, which happened to be Jackie Onassis's building. And I had played Jackie Onassis in a play, and she'd come to see me and cried because she had a nervous breakdown in the play and wanted to kill herself because she didn't want to share John Kennedy with the world. And anyway, a ship's doctor and a ship's priest found me on their day off from the ship. And the ship's doctor pronounced me dead, and the ship's priest did last rites. And then they got this idea to get me to the Metropolitan Hospital in Harlem, where the most amount of death was happening. And I was put on a machine that had never been used before. And as fate would have it, my parents were told, she's not going to live. You better pray that she doesn't live because she'll be a vegetable. But my girlfriend, Betty, had a dream I was dying and went to every hospital in New York before, according to her parents, and she climbed up the fire escape onto the floor where she had heard I was, and this was the middle of the night, persuaded the intern to let me in my room. And she screamed and yelled at me, you can't do this, Sally. You can't. I love you. We all love you so much. So when I woke up the next morning from this coma, the doctor said, whoever Betty is, you should thank her because that's what you responded to, was hearing her voice wherever you were. And I couldn't talk because I had a tracheotomy. So I wrote on a piece of paper, Betty loved me more than anybody. And yeah, I'm still here today.
Thank you. You know what? You got another book in you. You need to write
I haven't done the first one, Brian. Okay, I haven't done the first book, but I'm working on it. I'm talking into a recorder.
Good.
Yeah.
Because that's inspirational. Because my concern, I've always been the designated driver. I've always been that person to go and take care of my friends, to call them to make sure okay. I've always seen a lot of what you described firsthand, which is why I never did it. I've never been married. I don't have kids, and I'm 60 for those reasons. I saw these things, so I'm like, okay, I know what my function is. I know why I'm on planet Earth. So this is why I'm doing these things like this. So I want to thank you for that, because a lot of people don't realize just because you're not making it at a younger age, maybe you're a late bloomer. When I first heard I was a late bloomer, I go, oh yes, that's it. I wasn't supposed to be doing all this at an early age. But I didn't know that until October of 1993, and my shaman told me. She goes, Brian, if you had done this earlier on, you would have been married 3 times and had 2.5 kids. I go, thank you for that. And I thank her till this day, my shaman, Joy the lady. So you reminded me of that, Sally, because there are a lot of people suffering from depression right now. There are a lot of people who have anxiety. And if they're by themselves, that's not good. That's why I pick up the phone and call everybody all the time.
Yeah, I've been picking up the phone. You know what I did yesterday? I went down my contact list on my iPhone, and to everybody I could reach, I said, Happy New Year, I love you, or something. And people have been calling me back. They haven't heard from me in a year or whatnot, and they're so grateful. And so I do encourage people to pick up the phone or email or text or a messenger. And I want to say that the ways you can find me are on Facebook, Sally Kirkland. Instagram, I think it says Sally Kirkland fan page. And then there's the SallyKirkland.com in capital letters, SallyKirkland.com website. And then there's every Monday I do a radio show called healthylife.net from 10 to 11 Los Angeles time. And that goes out to the world internationally. And I talk not only with people who do health, but I have a lot of musicians on, and I have a lot of astrologers on. I'm into astrology. And wasn't that great, the conjunction with Saturn and Jupiter on the 20th or whatever it was?
Very important.
Yeah, the Aquarian age is definitely happening. And then there's one more. What is it, Mike? Oh, yeah. If you go at 4 o'clock Los Angeles time to Sally Kirkland, it'll say Reverend Sally Kirkland, share a spirit. And I'm on for a half an hour and sometimes up to 45 minutes or an hour. And then you all participate with me. So if somebody's out there who's depressed or sad, particularly in the holidays, please come on my page, because we all pray for each other. We chant for each other. And then this is what we do. Anai you, Anai you, Anai you, which means in Sanskrit, Anai Hu, the blessings already are. And Hu is an ancient Sanskrit word for God. And yeah, I'm all for helping each other. So please reach out to me as the Reverend Sally Kirkland at 4 o'clock every day. However, tomorrow it will be 2 o'clock. Maybe I can help someone.
Absolutely, you are. Mike, last couple of words. Give you social media links, Mike.
Well, I just can't think of a better way to end the new year with two of my favorite people. So look forward to 2021 and spending time with both of you again, and maybe even touching you again.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, a hug. I can feel it now, Mike. Oh.
Sally, I want to thank you so much.
I hope everybody
and
has
everything.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. And Happy New Year. I hope 2021 brings everybody health, happiness, peace of mind, joy, abundance, prosperity, serenity, creativity, and lots of loving, caring, and sharing.
And with that, I want to thank Mike Szymanski, my really, really good friend. I want to thank the one and only Sally Kirkland. And as I would always say to everybody before I sign off, if you see someone without a smile, please give them one of yours, because the world needs it. I'm Brian Sebastian, and we will see you next week.